We're going to continue on Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis with Safek the Yavam. And this is, I would say, about halfway down the Amud, and you'll see it right before the two dots. Or shall we say right before the wide lines at the two dots. So again, we're talking about the Yerusha of a ben who's a Safek Rishon, ben Rishon or ben Sheni. And Safek, the Yavam, Shabo Lachlok B'nichsei Misna, Safek Omar Ano Bar Misnahu, V'nichsei Didihu, Yavam Ma'at Brai Didiat, Lesel Chlo Midi, B'nachase. And this is Momen Abuta B'Safek, Momen Abuta B'Safek, Cholki. This is something that we addressed at great length. But here, I would like to fast forward to Rabbi Abba. And again, in Mitzvah Hashem, we should really do a chazara on what we discussed on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph and the beginning of Lamed Zayin Amud Beis with all the cases of Yerusha. But here's where we got up to. Rabbi Abba Omar, if you count up from the bottom of the Amud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines up. Rabbi Abba Omar Rav, in the name of Rav, Kam Dine. If there was already a final decision and the judgment was passed, and the Nichsei Ames were divided up, and the Safek received half of the estate. The Yavam received the other half of the estate. So once it's come Dine, and the final ruling has been implemented, then we have a rule called the Efshar La'ar Ol. No one could come back and contest the decision. And therefore, the Safek cannot return and claim from the Bnei Yavan that half of the Nechasim by saying Mimonefshach. That's what we discussed earlier on the Amud about Mimonefshach. He has to bring a clear-cut proof to support his claim that he is one of their brothers. Rav Yirmiyah Amar Hadar Din. Rav Yirmiyah disagrees with Rav, and he holds Choser Adin. The Safek can now come back, and Bitovea, he could demand from the Yarshei Yavam based on the logic of Mimonefshach. Let's go over the Mimonefshach one more time in order to explain how the Safek now Bitovea the Yarshei Yavam. If I'm the son of the deceased, then give me back half of the Nechasim that your father took as a Yavam, because there was no Yibum. And I'm the only show in town, I'm the only son. And if you're going to claim I'm your brother, then give me in the estate of your father the exact equivalent of what you are inheriting. And according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, this is a valid Mimonefshach, which the Safek can put forward even after the din was paskin. He could uproot the original din with this claim. And the brothers will therefore be forced to return half of the nechasim of the deceased, or at least agree to divvy up their father's estate equally with the suffix on the side that he's the ben ha'achron. So the Gemara says, Lema, should we assume this machlok between Rav and Rabbi Yirmiyah, whether kam dine or hadar dine, beplugta, is identical with the machlokes of the Admon v'Rabbanan, kam miflagi. And this is a sugya in Masechet Ksubis. Tisnan, the Mishnah records the following machlok between Admon and the Rabbanan. Mishalach lemdina sayam, the avdalo derech sadeu. He went out to the far seas. He had a sadeh that was surrounded by fields owned by other people. And he had a derech. He had a right and ownership rights to go down a certain pathway, a certain, shall we say, road that would take him to his sadeh. Now he went to Medina Sayyam. When he comes back, he doesn't know where exactly that road is. It's lost. So that's called Avlo Lo Aderech El Sadeu Vaderech Nimtzeis Besados. It was somehow swallowed up by the surrounding fields when the Bali Asodas took over this road and incorporated it into their field. He wasn't around. He was out in Medina Sayyam, and he doesn't know on what side, even, what ruach was this road. Admon Omar, according to Admon's psak, Yelech b'ktsara. Right, he could force the Bali Asodos that own the surrounding fields to give him a derech which is tsara, the shortest pathway to his field. No, he cannot be tovea a derech, but yikachlo derech b'me'amona. He's going to have to buy out his neighbors and pay for a derech. His derech is history; it's gone. And even if they demand, because they have him over the barrel, he desperately needs a derech, they're going to demand me'amah, which is an exorbitant amount of money, or Yifar Bavir, or he has to fly a kite. Vavinaba. And we had a kasha on the Mishnah, Rabbanon, Shapir Ka'omar Adma. How can they prevent him from getting back his derech? Admon is correct. The Bali Asodos absconded and incorporated his derech into their sodas illegally. There's no question that he has a soda. Why don't they have to give him a derech? There's no question he has a derech. Why don't they have to supply him with a derech? Why does he have to buy them out? What's the case that we're dealing with? It's not a case where all the different fields surrounding his field belong to one individual, but rather Kagon Shekifu Arba Bnei Adam Me'arba Ruchos. 4 different field owners on all 4 sides, each respectively owned a field. And anytime he comes to claim to one of them, where's my derech, that person will just simply shrug him off, send him to the other shachem. And once again, we'll apply the principle of Motzi Mechavel of Raya vis-a-vis every one of the owners of the fields. So where I see Hachi, my time in the Admon, you did such a great job in interpreting this Mishnah in favor of the Rabbanon. How is Admon now going to contend? Why are they obligated to give him a derech? Notice he can't prove anything to any individual homeowner or field owner. And each field owner is going to push him off and send him to the other field owner to get in a round robin. Omar Rava, The arba, the osumikoch arba, you're right. If each one of these four sada owners on the four sides, each one purchased his field independently from four, let's say there were four different mochrim, four real estate brokers. And these four individuals, each one bought a field from that same broker. Or all four homeowners or soda owners bought it from the same identical mocher. In those cases, everybody admits that each one of the neighbors has the legal right to push him off and say, bring a proof that your derech was in my chelik. But ki pligi, where is the machlokes between Admon and the Chachamim? Bechad di osi mikoch arba. There was one neighbor who bought up the fields from the other three neighbors. Now he surrounds with his fields the field of the individual on all sides. And that individual lost his field. Does he have a right to demand? I'm sorry, lost his field. I meant to say lost his road. Does he have a right to demand the road from that one individual who bought all the fields? Admon Savmatziyamalei, one who lost his erech, has the right to say to the one who bought all the fields, you're right, each field came from a different mocher, and I couldn't be toveh the mocher because each one would push me off, and I get stuck hanging, with nothing. But now that you purchased all the fields, you're one bailim for all the fields, is mikomakom darchi gabachu. There's no question about it anymore. It's absolutely certain that my road is in one of your fields. I can't point to a particular field to know which one it was. For Abban Savri, no, he doesn't deserve to get a road. The Omar Lay, the buyer, could say to the owner of the lost field, Ishaskas, Shaskas. If you'll drop your claim and be silent, and don't go to Beis Din to demand a pathway, a road, then I'm going to sell you a road at a good price, a cheap price. You won't have to pay much for it. Elo, if you don't quiet down, but rather you go through this whole legal process to be tofea, then mahadrana shtar lemarayu, I'll return the shtar machira, the shtar machira of these four bailim. V'lo motzis l'shtauye dina ka'adayu. And there's no way that you could be mamid, stand with them in judgment. Because kol echad yidche otzcha eitzel chavero. You're going to have to pay very heavy money in order to buy a derech. Lema, says the Gemara, Rabbi Abba diyomer kirabbanon, Rabbi Yirmiyah diyomer ka'admon. Rabbi Abba holds kam dine, holds like the Rabbanon, that this man doesn't get a derech because it's already kam dine. And he adds here, Shaharei lo haisa lo schus litvoa derech, kishahayu svivo arba shchedim, the hifsid is darko. And that's called kvar kam dine. Now, it's an interesting application of the rule of Kam Dine. It means that you initially did not have legal rights to demand the derech when there were 4 shchenim around you. So at that point, you were mafsid your derech. And even though the situation now changed, when one individual bought up all the fields around you, we're not going to be mafsid the din because lo hadar dine, but rather kam dine. Rabbi Yomi Omar ki admon hadar dine. Shesover shakona lo ibed eschuso bekach shelo hayochol lavi raya el adayin schuso kayemes v'yochol utvol so kasher adam echad kones kol asod Hashem misaviv. And the Gemara rejects it. There's no interdependence between these two debates. Amal Charabi Abba Anodi Amri Afilu Ka'adma. We accept halacha that kam dine. So Rabbi Abba is going to say, "Anodi Amri Afilu Ka'admon Ad Kalok Amar Admon Hasam." To what extent does Admon insist that the Bala Derech has schus to come back and demand his derech from that one individual who purchased all the sodas around his field? Elamishum Diomar Lei, the owner of the derech that got lost, has the right to make the following claim. Here we turn to Daf Lamed Hey. Darki Chad Gavachu. I certainly have one derech amongst the fields. And therefore Admon says, he's Zocha Mikol Titus Bari, as a Titus Bari, a definite claim, because it's absolutely certain that he has the rights to a derech. Aval Hacha, but here in the case of Suffolk and Bnei Yavam, who are dividing up their father's, the deceased's estate, after they had already divided up the first brother who died. Mi ikal meimar hach. Can we say that this Suffolk has a tinus bari on a particular part of the Yerusha? He certainly knows beyond the shadow of a doubt if he's the Ben Ames or the Ben Yavam. He's only coming forward with a taina that he deserves a chelik in the Yerusha Mimanavshah. Or they should return him half of the Nichse Ames, which their father now is enjoying. Or they should give him a uniform, equal chelik shava in the Nichse Avim, together with the Bnei Yavam. And here's where even Admon consents to and accepts the principle of Kam Dine, because Kevan Sheba Mikoch Shtei Taino Shem Safek Omrim Lo Al Kol Taina Tavirai. And Rabbi Yirmi Omer L'chan Madiyam Yafilu Rabbanon. I maintain that Hadar Dine, even according to Rabbanon, Ad Kan Lo Kami Rabbanon Hasan, that he won't get a derech, and he's got to buy a derech. El Vishum Diyomer Lei. The buyer says to the owner of the derech, Ishaskas Shaskas, Vilo Madrina Shtori Lemarayu, Vilo Motzis Ishta'ue Dina Badayu. Avalacha, in the case of a Suffolk of a Yavam that are coming to divide up the Nichse Yavam, Mikol Mimarach. Can the Bnei Yavam claim each shaskis vilo axus ashtalim okrim? There's no possibility that happened. And here's where the Rabbanan are moded that Hadar Dine and the suffix will receive his portion, or they will divide up the estate into different segments. And the Rabbanan will be moded at Hadar Dine, the suffix Makabel, or Chelek Ha'achim, or Chetzi Nichse HaMeshek Kibel Me'ayom. So this is where we're going to stop for today. We're up to Safek V'Yavam. Mirza Hashem will pick up tomorrow. Thank you very much.